And it's Lynn, right?
Yes.
Lynn Harlan?
Lynn Harlan, Eastern Band.
Eastern Band. Oh, come sit down. Come sit down. Do you have time?
I do, yeah.
And see, this is how it works right here. There's Veronica Tiller from Hickory Apache. Can you join us in a few minutes?
Sure.
Come back and
Okay.
sit in with us.
Okay.
We're just kind of being informal here.
Okay.
And but you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I sort of let it lapse that you're Eastern Band of Cherokee, right?
Yes.
And can you talk about the historical significance of the area that we're in right now when it comes to the Cherokee Nation? And I know that you're not necessarily a historian.
Well, I kind of am.
Oh,
I do have a history degree.
I never knew that.
I do.
See, you learn so much just talking to people.
Right.
Okay. Well, then I've got the right person because, you know, one of the comments that I heard when I was talking to people that I was going to Atlanta, what for? And I was like, it's the National Congress of American Indians Convention. And well, why would they have it in Atlanta?
Right.
And I asked that question to Jefferson Keel, and he says the question is not why would we, but why not?
Right. And why haven't you been there?
And why haven't we been there? And it makes good. But since you're the, I didn't know that. It was just a hunch that you would know about this. But give us a little history lesson when it comes to the Native connection here in the Atlanta area.
Okay, well, the Cherokees originally were in 8 southern states. Georgia was one of them. Our historic capital was in Georgia, about 60 miles north of here, at New Echota. New Echota was the place that the tribe officially fought the Removal Act of 1830, and because the tribe fought it in the Supreme Court, we ended up with a martial trilogy that kind of set the stage for Indian law and actually set the stage for sovereignty.
Sovereignty, exactly. And explain that a little bit, because I think, you know, a lot of people don't know about that martial trilogy and how it laid out the groundwork for tribal policy and government-to-government relationship that we're still dealing with today.
Right. Well, the Cherokee Nation at the in 1830 was mainly Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina. We regulated all of the commerce and all the traffic and trade throughout our lands. The state of Georgia was trying to assert state rights over our lands in Georgia. So they were trying to regulate non-Indians coming in and out of the nation. So the Marshall Trilogy was about defining what Indians were and what our rights were to govern our own lands. And as you know, the Supreme Court upheld our right, and the administration did not follow that law.
And we've been dealing with that ever since, that conflict. And now it seems like it's the other way around.
Right.
Where the court and the judicial branch is not necessarily
kind of chipping away at that
sovereignty. They're trying to chip away. It seems like we were going in that to talk to John Eckelhoff about this, about the trend where we were going in a good direction for a while there. Now it seems we're taking a few steps back, and then we have an administration or an executive branch that's being more proactive.
Right.
Is that how you see it?
That's the way I see it. I think this administration understands what sovereignty is. It sometimes seems like the Supreme Court justices haven't read the Marshall Trilogy, so they don't really understand that basis of Indian law and how other things screw out of that.
Or that they do know, and that they, you know, I think sometimes the Supreme Court, especially in some of these appeals court, they just act ignorant and use that, you know, and they use that as an excuse,
right?
You know, to override some of the you know, the positive strides that we've made.
Right.
And so I think they're well aware sometimes, not all the time, of what they're doing and what their judgments mean. And you know, because I think that they don't want us to get to the point where we're on equal ground with the states, even though the Marshall Trilogy said that we were.
Right. I believe that's true.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit more about the Eastern Band of Cherokee. And the big question that I have is, do you guys recognize Elvis as a tribal elder?
We've heard he hangs around the reservation,
yeah,
but I haven't seen him
yet. I thought we saw him as we were coming through Tupelo. I think we saw Elvis. He was standing there.
Wearing feathers.
Yeah. His hitchhiking had a feather. But no, I called Graceland once when I was doing the radio show, and we were doing a kind of a spoof satire on Elvis being native.
Right.
And so I called Graceland, and they confirmed that he did have Cherokee lineage, and that it was Eastern, what had become the Eastern Band of Cherokee. Have you heard?
I've
You've
heard
certainly
that.
heard that.
I've heard that, yeah.
But there's-
numerous times, but I don't think our genealogists have ever proven it.
We got to work on that.
Right.
We got to hire us a genealogist that says yes, Elvis was
I'll call our
a member
enrollment
of this.
office and see.
Yeah. but tell us more about these, and why is there a separation between even though they're not known as the Western Cherokee, they're officially known as the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, but a lot of people refer them as the Western Cherokee and you guys the Eastern Cherokee. Tell us that story.
In 1817 and 1819, the Cherokees of North Carolina were understanding that the state was kind of trying to take our lands, trying to destroy the nation. So we struck a treaty with North Carolina to become citizens of the state of North Carolina and hold our lands in North Carolina. North Carolina, of course, never followed through with their part of giving us citizens, but we stayed in North Carolina after the main body of the nation was removed to Oklahoma. The reason they're called the Cherokee Nation is they took the constitutional government with them to Oklahoma. So we existed kind of in limbo in the mountains of western North Carolina, and it's kind of a no man's land. It's hard to get to, it's remote, nobody really cared about it. So we were kind of left alone until after the Civil War.
Isn't that kind of where they filmed the last? A
It
lot
is.
of those scenes
Last
of the
of the
last
Mohicans.
Mohicans. Because I remember all my friends and relatives telling me about it.
Right.
But it was beautiful.
It's still kind of difficult to get to.
Yeah, it is, but it's pretty though. But it looked kind of dangerous. But anyway, go ahead.
So after the Civil War, a question of our lands came up. Because we weren't citizens, we couldn't hold lands. Our lands were being held by a non-Indian who was a very good friend to the tribe. We considered him the first lobbyist for the tribe.
The original NCAI.
Right. So we incorporated as a business in the state of North Carolina, and we held our lands until Native people were given citizenship in 1924. And then we officially became the Eastern Band as a federal entity. In 1870, we actually had the Lord Welch Constitution, which reformed the constitutional government for us.
Now, let's you got a few more minutes? Sure. Okay. Because there's this warrior mentality or an image that I guess most of America holds of a native warrior.
Right.
That's from the 1800s. Usually they're on horseback, no shirt, or buckskin, maybe a big feather. But a lot of people don't realize that there were Indian warriors in the 1800s who were fighting in the courts, who were dealing with whites as far as with policy and with government to government relationships. So, do you ever find that there's that gap that people have, that the mainstream America has between an Indian warrior and the things that you read about in history?
Right. And for Cherokees where we live, their horses don't really do well.
They seem to fall off the
Right, they seem
side.
to break legs and stuff, so they don't get along well. So we have warriors that fought for the Confederacy. So you see them with their moccasins on, but with the uniform of the South.
Yeah.
And they really were just home guards. They had a couple of epic battles, but nothing major. Kind of stayed close to home.
Now, one of the things that I've seen, I don't know I forget where it was, but we went to Washington D.C. and I met some guys from the Eastern Band of Cherokee, and they had this what's it called? Like, it's not a museum, but it's more of a living museum, where they were bringing back some of the. They were wearing the old Cherokee.
The 18th century style.
Yeah, the 18th style of dress and the hair. And I thought that was one of the best I'd seen.
I am, but I'm waiting on
What am I trying to explain?
Those are, they're called the Warriors of Onigadua.
Yeah.
Gadua is our mother town, the first town of the Cherokees, and the people that came from there are the Anikiduwaki. That's really the Cherokee name for Cherokees.
Okay.
Cherokee is actually a Creek word for our people.
Yeah, and most names, of course, are
Right, right.
misnomers.
So what that came out of is Cherokees had emissaries and diplomats early on. So 252 years ago, we sent a group of leaders to make peace with Great Britain and meet with the king. And one of the British soldiers that was sent into Cherokee territory was Henry Timberlake. And from his writings, that's how he described the welcome when he went into the Cherokee town. Of course, it wasn't really a welcome. It was kind of a, this is what we're going to do to you if we don't like you. But he didn't know how to interpret it. So from that came the Warriors of Anikiduwa.
Okay.
And our old songs stayed in our community for that 250 years. So those are our songs. And the dress is...
So they've set up a village now, right? Or,
Well, we've had for 50 years.
but they just kind of revived it.
Right, we had an
and-
Oklahoma Indian village.
and-
That's an 18th century village recreation.
Kind of marketing it now.
Right.
Because I did see some advertisements in some magazines for it.
Right, and we've expanded that. We actually participate with Historic Williamsburg, where the Cherokees would have gone with Timberlake before they made their trip to London.
I know some people were looking at it and saying, "Oh man, those guys look scary." Those Cherokees look scary. Oh, Cherokees, they're not scary. They're really nice. Tell you, make them mad.
Right.
Just don't get on their bad
Right.
side. That's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Lynn, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
Good
And,
luck
have,
here.
have fun taking pictures. So you're officially taking the
Right, I'm working with
NCAI photography?
NCAI. Yeah, there are a group of us from the United South and Eastern tribes that
Okay.
are volunteering this week to help
Okay.
NCAI here.
Good to see you.
Okay, it's good to see you.
Thanks for helping me. Get
Don't
this.
post this.
Okay, post it up. Post it up.